What's up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Standing Out. I'm Trey Griggs, founder and CEO of Beta Consulting Group, and we are excited that you're here for episode 203. We got some great shows for you this week, so make sure you come back every Tuesday and Thursday at 2 p.m. Central for an episode of Standing Out. Today's guest is an industry veteran. He's been around for a long time, and today we're going to talk a little bit about some of his predictions. He makes some annual predictions, and he's often, making some great cases out there, some great points in regards to the logistics industry, what's happening. And so super excited to welcome to the show today from Trailer Bridge, my good friend, Eric Masotti. Eric, what's up, brother?
Hey,
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Had to throw that Ted Lasso theme out there for you, man, because you requested it. So
yes,
there you go.
Yeah, we just did we do an annual sales conference, and we did that at Trailer Bridge. So we have people from our 10 offices domestically, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Mexico, all in wonderful Jacksonville, Florida last week. Weather was nice. We went to Topgolf, and we did a little Ted Lasso theme. So
see, that's the number one reason why we should do business together, because maybe I could get an invite to that. Like that would be awesome. I'm here in St. Louis. I can't play golf, man. That would be so much fun. But speaking of Trailer Bridge, let's talk a little bit about what's going on with you guys. I have to say, so impressed with your entire team, with you as a leadership, with Whitney over the marketing and the brand that you guys are building. One of the things that we like to talk about on this show is marketing, and specifically building a really great brand. You guys seem to have done that, or at least it looks great from the outside. I'm sure it's that way on the inside as well. Talk a little bit about building a brand and truly a culture at Trailer Bridge to win. What's that process been like? What have been some keys for you guys?
Well, I would say our marketing department is run by Whitney Croxton, and so she's kind of the leader on that front. One thing that she's preached, she did a session on personal branding at our sales conference for all of our sales individuals that were there from around the country and other countries. And I think that hit home. That hits home to me, is to be yourself. So, I mean, part of the Trailer Bridge culture and presentation that we give on LinkedIn and other social media channels is that we try to be ourselves. I mean, the first thing I think about when I get to come on here with you, Trey, is to not use the F word. Or, I do. Sometimes with myself, I get going. I understand that sometimes those can make some people uncomfortable. That said, I say all that we are ourselves, but we want the best out of each other. I mean, what we believe, I've had bosses at different places in different companies, different industries, where, sometimes like all the people at the top were such assholes. And I was like, man, I guess to be successful, that's what you have to do. And one of the things that we try to do here, and that I believe from leadership to the question you asked, but I mean, for anyone to be successful at Trailer Bridge, you gotta be a good person. And I think that same presentation goes to our customers, it goes to our carrier partners, it goes to potential employees, current employees.
Yeah,
so
I think it makes a difference.
I don't really know the recipe of the secret sauce. I think it's a lot of different people.
Well, it's a lot of things of what you said of being a good person, or just being somebody who is having some core values that you live by, that you're willing to die by, first of all, and being able to communicate those for your company and live by those as a company is important. But I think also, when you think about brands, some people are really good at putting lipstick on a pig. Like the brand really isn't that good, but it just looks good. And other companies actually have a great culture and a great brand. And what I've noticed is the companies in which their team members are really proud of their company, of their logo. They're wearing their swag. They're talking the culture. They're talking about success stories on LinkedIn. I see posts from your team members talking about, wins that you guys have had with your customers or internally. When you see that, I think that's when you realize it's really authentic. And that's when the entire company understands that every person is building your brand. They used to say that everybody's in sales, which I think is true. Everyone in your company is in sales. I'm also going to say everyone in your company every day is building your brand. One way or the other, it's putting a stamp on the brand, whether it's in customer interactions, internal conversations, this right here. You guys are building the brand. Talk a little about how you communicate that to your team, that this is really about us building something together, and how have you got your team to embrace that?
So, again, I mentioned Whitney, she does a personal branding thing. So explaining that obviously the marketing department is going to talk about Trailer Bridge, but every one of us plays a key part in that, to what you just said. And, I run a sales training program with our VP of sales, Kyle Jones. And I mean, I don't, we try to have some structure to it. I'm not usually the best with structure, to be completely honest with you. And so
You
it
and me
kind of
both,
goes,
man.
it kind of goes all over the place. But I mean, at the end of the day, I'm like, I can't give you a sheet of paper that's going to give you the answers to how to land a customer. I can't give it to you. I would love to give it to you. I mean, we have a copy of a sales script. We've got different things that can help you through the journey, but those are really starting points. And if you're going to be good at this, it's going to have to come in your voice. It's going to have to be real from you. And I can tell you, I mean, to your point, I mean, we're very fortunate. We had our most shipments ever in December. I think we might break that here in January. We'll see. Before that, the most shipments we've ever had was November, and most shipments for that was October. And it was pretty hard to move freight in December, as anybody that's been in this industry would know. So, I mean, we don't necessarily do all that. Some of that came at our cost versus our customers' cost. But I say that, I mean, we love our customers. We love our employees, and we're willing to do what it takes. This is a long, long journey, and we're committed to that long journey. And so, I guess we try to tell them. I mean, I say we try to tell them. I mean, they get to do whatever they want to do. I mean, we train them up, but I'm not going to sit over their shoulder and tell them how to do something. I'm trying to give them advice. I'm going to treat them like an adult. And, fortunately, the recruiting department has been able to bring people in that are excited about the opportunity.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's so important that your recruiting department and your leadership really looks to add talent that fits the culture, that has a certain, criteria in that regard. Because skills are one thing, but culture is a totally another thing. You can build the skills, you can get the reps in, you can get better at things, but culture is something that's really, really difficult to change somebody's attitude or perspective in life. That's not really what you're there for, right? To do that. I once heard UConn coach Gene Ariema. He said, "I'm not here to coach effort. Other coaches have to coach effort. I'm not here to coach effort. I'm here to make you better." And it's that kind of idea, like culture. Sometimes you have to really recruit for that. And it's a kudos to you guys. On the personal brand side, here's the one thing I've noticed from companies like Trailer Bridge, like Freightvana, like Rocket Shipping, like some of the others. They encourage their people to build that personal brand, instead of discouraging it. There are companies that are like, don't post anything unless it goes through marketing. Well, who wants to do that?
Yeah.
It's a lot of red tape, but you guys have done a good job with that.
Well, you're right. I mean, because you open risks from a company standpoint when you say, "Hey, share with the world what your thoughts are." But we have a pretty good idea. I mean, we don't know exactly what everybody's thoughts are. They definitely don't know what all the thoughts that I have are. But I mean,
right.
We have a common purpose, a common goal. At least for the growth of the organization, the success of the employees, the success of the customers, the success of the partners that we use. And, help be a part of that. And with your right, the recruiting to that point, don't coach effort. I mean, again, that's not really what I'm here to do. I'm here to train, teach, mentorship. And Amber Grant, who runs the recruiting group, does a great job at making sure we have the right people. And we make it harder. I mean, I don't know if it's easier or harder to have one central location. I think there's pluses and minuses to all those models, but we got offices in, 10 different cities. I know she's in Atlanta. Amber's in Atlanta doing, or at least traveling for our recruiting appointments tomorrow. So.
Yeah. Well, I'd say this. We'll end on this before we jump into the predictions. I want to get to those. But if you hire great people, if you do a great job of hiring great people, I believe you can trust them until they make a mistake. You can trust that they're going to do the right thing. They're going to say the right things. And if they do get in a little bit of a pickle, you deal with it. You work with it. Maybe give them some guidelines, or maybe it's just not a good thing for them to post on social. Not everybody should post on social, more than likely. But I think if you hire great people, you trust them.
Well, I say the trust is earned. It's not given. So I mean, you earn trust, which then you can give trust. But like, you don't just randomly give trust to people. Like, I don't walk up, if a bank's not FDIC insured,
right?
Just
Exactly.
randomly, like good people. I guess that's kind of the whole cryptocurrency. It's probably too soon.
That's right.
I shouldn't do that. But trust is earned, and it's earned every single day. And they have to trust. They have to trust the decisions that we make. And how do they just trust? They watch the decisions that we make, and they can evaluate if they think they're good or bad. I mean, that's what I would do if I was them. That's what I did. I mean, I'm fortunate. I started at the entry level job in this position, dispatching trucks. So I've got to see kind of every aspect.
Did you really? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, man. I was.
Oh wow. That's a whole other podcast. Talk about your journey up
I
through Trailer
can't.
Bridge.
I mean, 20 years. I mean, you said I was an industry veteran, which I think just means I'm old. But and I started in this before there was, the drivers had to they didn't have cell phones that gave them direction. So I
See, now you're
had
going to just sound old. Let's stop. You're going to sound old. I
I
don't want to do
had I could dispatch a truck to Campbell's Soup in Maxton, North Carolina right now. Because
that.
I had directions memorized all over the country because
Oh man, that's
you know.
hilarious. That's a throwback. Okay, we're not going to go there. We're not going to
Yeah,
reveal
yeah.
how old you are, but we are 90s hip hop fellas. So
Yes, yes,
we'll leave
yeah.
it at that, which is good. All right, so listen, we got to get to these. So I've got your predictions right here.
Okay.
I actually did print them out just so I would have a visual aid,
Okay.
but I do have
Okay.
your predictions that you've been doing this for a couple years now, right?
This is the third year. And I've learned that I am paid. Oh, Danielle gave a message. Thank you. Love Danielle and the whole Mastery team.
She must
And
want something later.
Mitch, who's the CEO here, happened to be the person that hired me out of college. So me and Mitch go a long way back. But what I learned in doing these predictions, we started doing them a few years ago.
COVID year, I think you did right around
COVID
there, right?
year, I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
so. And the only thing that I've really been accurate at predicting is the sports predictions, all industry things. So everything that I'm paid to know about, I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm clueless. I'm literally throwing darts at a wall. But apparently, with sports, which just obviously as a fan interest, I've been 2 for 2 on that aspect.
You
And
have been. So you predicted that Steph Curry would win the MVP regular season and finals.
So I kind of got that
injured.
wrong, but he got injured. I feel like
that's not your fault.
that's
He would have
not,
gotten it if he got injured. You're
he
on the right
still got
track,
the finals MVP
which is probably worth more. Let's be honest.
Title.
That's what you really want.
He already gets 2 of the other regular seasons. Steph understands. I love
right.
Steph.
That's right.
I'm sure you're watching a great podcast. If you are, I'd love tickets. It'd be great.
Listen, if Steph Curry's watching this podcast, all right. He's had a really bad day. He's had
what's going on?
It's gone downhill.
Transportation.
That's right.
Industry.
It's gone.
He heard they needed to raise prices on the new chef shoes.
That's right. His shoes aren't getting there on time. His margins have gone down on his shoes.
And so
something's going on. What's happening?
Steph's the kind of guy, he can fix everything. So he's like, let me do a little research. I've got the answer.
Oh, it's so good. Okay. All right. So let's go through these real quick. So that was last year. You did get the Steph Curry MVP pick. There is a sports one this year. We'll get to it. Not right away.
Okay.
But let's go ahead and go through these. So the first one you talked about ocean, so maritime predictions about basically TEU volumes, what's happening in that regard. And your prediction this year, talk a little about what we saw last year, and then let's get to your prediction.
So I'll talk about what we saw last year. I don't even remember what my prediction was. I'll be honest. I kind of just throw.
I've got it right here. I've got it right here.
So there we go.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate. Yeah, and sometimes finding, I've spent most of my career. Now I have worked at a large global steamship, but the majority of my career has been on the domestic side. Though here at Trailer Bridge, we do everything. I mean, our company was founded on ocean transit, and it's the heart of our business, as Mitch would tell you, and definitely is from our Puerto Rico trade. So we have regular vessels that 2 sailings northbound, southbound between here and Puerto Rico. So that we have an NVOCC group. So we've done a lot. The thing that I would talk about the ocean group is just, what a roller coaster ride that thing has been on. I mean,
it's wild,
from Asia to West Coast, when you look at that, you go back early last year, it was, late 2020, 2021, early 2022. It was $20,000 to $30,000.
Right. Let me ask you this question. Is there any other industry or any other supply that 10x the cost? 10x.
I don't know, man.
That's significant.
And it's under, I've heard things under $2,000, under $1,000. Like it's crazy low right now. They're canceling sailings in order to keep some of those costs elevated.
Right.
So, I think my prediction, if I do appreciate you doing that, is that it's not going to hit the peak of what it obviously was last year.
Right.
But that I do think it'll balance out later in the year, but who knows?
Yeah, it's actually 2.3 million. I got a typo there. Monthly volumes will peak at 2.3 million imported TEUs a month.
Typos.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Maybe that's my only typo. We'll see. Okay, so that was the first one. Was maritime, definitely taking a huge hit since the peak of COVID. There's no doubt about that. Let's talk a little bit about diesel fuel price. Oh no, before we get to that, let's talk about van spot rates. Van spot rates.
Okay, this is the one thing I actually know about on here.
All right, cool. Let's talk about that then. So what did we see at the end of last year, and what's our prediction this year?
2022, what a roller coaster ride. We started the year at really high pricing, no capacity marketplace. It kind of opened up in springtime to summer. Then in late summer, early fall, there's capacity everywhere. And then come December, it goes back to like January. Like it was just this the entire time.
Yeah, it was wild. It was wild.
So, that I'm predicting, so to know where we're standing right now, it's 244 a mile. When you're looking at what the DAT produces, they have a trend line that they produce every week. When you're looking at their spot rates, they do van, flatbed, and refrigerated. Right. I'm talking about a monthly rate. So we're at 244 currently. It has been coming down. If you looked at it just a couple weeks ago, it was like 257, 258. So it has dropped quite a bit from that. I think it'll probably continue to drop the rest of this month. There has been some industry belief, because if you read, all the Morgan Stanleys and all these people that actually get paid money to predict things, which obviously, though they're not any better at it than I am, to be completely honest, but they are specifically paid to forecast these things. If you looked at it 3 or 4 months ago, they would have told you that it's going to be so soft the entire, at least first half of the year, wait till the second half of the year. But there is some new industry belief when you look at some of that pricing stabilization that maybe we're closer to the bottom than we thought. And maybe by March, we really start seeing some appreciation again in those rates. I mean, those spot rates were all the way up to over $3 at the peaks of COVID. To understand,
in some lanes significantly higher, right?
Yeah, in some lanes significantly higher. But when you're just looking at the entire network, that's not quite like a 10x change as you just talked about. I mean, I think it went as low as like $1.50. So in essence, it was like
3x. Yeah, 2 to 3x, right?
2 to 3x.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So our prediction here is that rates will peak at 262 a mile for spot, for van rates on the spot market. Okay, all right, very good.
That's what we think.
In line with that, let's jump over to diesel fuel. We're going to skip one. We'll come back to it.
And I messed up on diesel. Like I guess I got confused. So like let's skip through that one too.
Let's skip that one.
Yeah, that one was a mistake. It was I realized it after. So
it's amateur hour here.
That's just remember, just know how wrong I am at all these things.
I love it. Okay, so let's talk then about Class 8 orders, Class 8 truck orders prediction. All right, so last year we saw a lot of companies with extra money buying trucks at the beginning of the year, especially. But then we also had the parts issues where there weren't a lot of enough conductors or semiconductors, those types of things, and chips were not available. And so, but we saw a lot of orders, even peaking in the 50s and 60,000 units a month. Right? But in 2023, you're thinking it's going to slow down significantly.
I don't remember what I predicted.
38,000 peak orders.
38,000. So and it was over 50,000. So that's a pretty significant drop.
It is
from last year when you're thinking about where it's at. I know a little. We have truck assets. We have a variety of assets here at Trailer Bridge, from containers to trucks. So we've been in the marketplace purchasing these kinds of items, and from chassis, containers. And it's been an interesting market, as you can imagine. I mean, the lead times on some of these, I mean, well over a year. And so that's what makes it really hard, because you have these purchase orders where people are putting down, but there is an out clause typically. Now they have to pay a fine, but there is some kind of like, but the purchase requests are so big. I have heard a lot of people are paying these penalties to get out some of these orders, though, because
especially at the prices they committed to, right?
At the prices they committed to, and I know that's happening on chassis, container, and truck side. So, that makes it pretty interesting. Do some of those cancel out, which then actually means the second half, there's going to be a kind of energizing of purchases of those. So, that's what can make this number kind of typically. It's usually a pretty smooth number. It typically, when you look at it annually, it kind of does like this 2 hump where it peaks in the beginning of the year. It's kind of soft in the summer, and then it kind of goes up again at the end of the year. Yeah. So that's kind of the way that the orders traditionally move at. So we'll see. So by the second half of the year, you could see the increase, but that is peaking at about somewhere near half of where we saw last year.
Yeah. Cause it was getting to 50, 60,000 a month there for a while. And it was crazy, the demand. And, as rates were up and fuel went up, it kind of was okay, but now fuel stayed up, rates came down, carriers are hurting. That messes with orders as well, and just the capital that people have available. So we'll see what happens with all that. All right, we got to move on to the sports one now. Yes. This is our final one, the sports one. So in 2020, you predicted baseball. What was your 2020 baseball prediction?
The Atlanta Braves would win a title.
Won.
And they won.
That's right. They won.
Yeah.
So, and then, and when did you predict that? Let me ask that. Was it literally in December the year
In,
before?
in December. So then
Wow, that's
they
impressive.
won. That was
9
before
months
the
later,
season
10
had
months later.
started.
Right, right.
They had been, I mean, like to review, they had been in the World Series in the COVID year. Or no, I take that back. They didn't make the World Series. They made the NLCS in the COVID year, which is a weird year. It was only 2
Right,
months long.
right.
So
But they were trending for
they were
sure.
trending. They
And
lost to
Freddie
the
Freeman, Ted Acuna.
Dodgers
Yeah,
in that
right.
NLCS. There was kind of some buzz going into the following year, and they were able to. They
They
actually
pulled
got
off.
hurt
Yeah.
and lost Acuna, came back at the end of 2021, and it was great.
So you got that one. You got the Steph Curry one we've already talked about.
Got the Steph
This year
Curry.
you're tackling football, tackling the pigskin. And I have to say, I have to take issue with your prediction. All right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's go ahead and share your prediction real quick. You are predicting that in 3 weeks, the 49ers are going to be hoisting the Lombardi trophy. That's
Who
where
they're
you're at.
one of four left. One
They're
of four
still
left.
in, right?
You
So at
know,
least you have a shot.
no rookie quarterback has ever made the Super Bowl. So there has been, I think I read somewhere, there's 4 other rookie quarterbacks that have gotten to the championship game. So this would require
Yeah.
a precedent to be broken, set. I don't know which way
And he would start his
would be.
career 11-0. I don't
11,
think he's
yeah.
lost.
He's not lost. That part of the prediction is a little scary. I grew up. My dad was in the Air Force, and we would move every few years growing up. So I lived in 9 states growing up. So my sports fandom is kind of all over the place. I was in Sacramento in the 80s, and the Niners were really good in the 80s. Fun fact, my mom was in the halftime show of the 84 Super Bowl. It was Niners versus Dolphins. And so
be
she
some
had
footage on that somewhere. There's
oh,
got to be YouTube video.
Well, I don't know, but there was a VHS tape that I swear to God my mom showed. If there was ever a person that came over that did not know the fact that my mom was in the Super Bowl halftime show, she put the VHS
Sit down,
on.
let me get you a tea. Watch this.
And then, she's like pointing herself out every time, which, I mean, you can't see where. Plus, that VHS, we watch like a HD show today. It's obviously it's so much definition. I mean, it was,
it's just dots. You couldn't see anybody.
Yeah, no idea. Oh yeah, Mom, that's definitely you. But the Niners won that game, and so my fandom was made at that moment.
That's it. That's right. It crystallized right in that moment. Well, I'm taking issue because, of course, I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan.
Yep.
I wouldn't mind a Chiefs 49ers rematch, but
yeah,
I definitely want them to not allow Purdy to win a championship. That's what I'm hoping for. But it's a good prediction. You're still so you made this prediction in December. This was
beginning of December,
playoffs, before Purdy really kind of
he was like 1-2-0. I was just ready to go. To be fair, if they didn't have such a good defense and offensive weapons, trust me, I want to go 3-0 in these sports predictions. I didn't put it on there unless I thought that I had a decent chance of being correct.
That'd be impressive if you pull that off, but I'm hoping that it doesn't come true. This is the one year you don't get it right. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But that is Eric Masotti's Trailer Bridge 2023 predictions for the industry and for sports. So we'll see what happens with that. All right, Eric, we got to take a pause for a moment because we like to have a little fun around here. So today we're going to be talking about, we're going to celebrate the National Day. We always like to do that. We had Martin Luther King Jr. Day last week. It's always something fun. Do you know what today's National Day is?
I don't know.
You might like this one. This one. It is National Peanut Butter Day. Are you a peanut butter lover? Are you allergic?
I'm not allergic. I bring up my Uncrustables, with us when we go to the golf course sometimes because they're so
slide
easy
them in the bag. That's
put in the bag. Me and my son. So I like a good PB&J, I guess. It's definitely not like my go-to lunch, but it does do well on a golf course.
It does do well on a golf course. You're right.
So
that's right.
That's my peanut butter.
Peanut butter thing.
But peanut butter is great on lots of different things. You put in some apples, celery.
I think the best combination of flavors is chocolate and peanut butter. That's my favorite combination. So
yes, Reese's specifically.
Reese's are great. Yep, that's true. I make so my mom used to make what was called no-bake cookies, or some people call them drop cookies, where they got oatmeal and sugar and peanut butter and cocoa and vanilla and that kind of thing. But you don't cook them; you just we don't bake them. You just boil them up, and then they cool on a piece of wax paper.
Yeah.
Peanut butter and chocolate, awesome. And my favorite ice cream is Tillamook out of Oregon. Tillamook's peanut butter chocolate. So Happy National Peanut Butter Day,
I love that
everybody.
ice cream.
I know.
I've never had.
It's great ice cream. Yeah, it's phenomenal. Okay. Also, we have to talk about we always have a random question of the day. Our producer puts up a random question. I haven't seen this question yet, so let's go ahead and take a look. What's the random question of the day today? It is, what was your favorite toy growing up? Oh wow. Do you remember that far back? I'm trying to remember. Toy. Oh, I got it. I've got mine. Go ahead. You got one?
Okay. Toy. My favorite.
I'll go first if you want some time.
Okay. Yeah. You go first.
All right. So when I think of being a kid, all I can think about is having that big wheel with the brake.
Yep.
You know, and we had a driveway that kind of went down into our garage.
Oh, yeah.
So I would get at the top of the driveway, I'd crank that thing down and go into the garage, a hard left with a pull on the brake and spin around. I could do that for days. So that's I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah.
How about you? What do you got?
That I definitely had a big wheel and loved my big wheel.
Who didn't?
I was a sports centric kid. I was obviously written a lot about me here, but I'm a middle child, and so I always joke that, or not joke, but I just got all my brother's toys. Apparently, I had an older brother, so I just got all the stuff that he had.
Take what you can get, right?
So I never really had a new toy. That would have been nice, Mom. There's a lot of my mom on this. I didn't know this was going to turn into a therapy session. If I have to pay you, let me know after.
I'll send you a bill. Don't worry about it.
I love my big wheel. I had Voltron.
I remember those. I do remember that.
Like a transformer type thing. We talked about that the other day in the office. So that's why that came to mind. So that we'll go Voltron.
Yeah, for me, it would be, I guess I was really into cars. So Voltron for you, big wheel for me. I also liked putting together those tracks for the little race cars,
Hot Wheels.
Yeah, Hot Wheels cars, the tracks. Oh my god,
love that. Because you could if you got the track going, me and my brothers would race them. So like
especially if you had 2 stories in your house and you could get it going downstairs
without a doubt. Anything that involved competition that you could create would be fun. So that's right.
That's right. Yeah, that's good. All right. So if you're in the comments, tell us what your favorite toy was. We'd love to see what those are. So it's great. All right. So we're gonna finish with this, Eric. So it's still January. It's getting late. It's the 24th, but it's still January. What is your number one tip for a company or an individual to start off the year right with a bang?
What's the tip? It's hard to tell someone bring energy, or be excited about the opportunity in front of yourself. I mean, I can't speak for everyone's opportunity. I guess, somewhat, I'm definitely lucky the role that I have, the ability to help choose the path. But I just think that believing in that each person has the ability to create their own destiny, I think is so important. And so, this kind of refresh at the beginning of the year, maybe something got away from you at the end of the year, but the time is now, man. The time is today, and don't let it slip by.
So maybe a renewed enthusiasm and optimism for the year. It's powerful. We set a precedent at Beta Consulting Group that we were going to take the week off of Christmas and just give everybody a chance to refresh and recruit, maybe think of some new ideas. We came back from the break with a lot of creativity, with a lot of new ideas of things to think about. And also I think a little bit of clarity, like, hey, we shouldn't do that anymore. That was a waste of time. That was too much time taken off of our plate and things like that. So I like that. I like that's a good tip, just to refresh the mind a little bit and get a little more renewed enthusiasm and optimism, which is great. Eric, listen, man, always great to have you on the program. As always, we're gonna have to have you back on again soon. And I gotta get down to Jacksonville.
Yeah, golf on me. You get golf on me.
Gotta happen. So we'll see you. Thanks so much. All right, everybody. So listen up. We've got another great show coming to you on Thursday. We got Jake McLeod of XO. We're going to talk to him, and we are going to have a great show at that time. So make sure you come back at 2:00 on Thursday for another episode of Standing Out, which is a podcast about sales, marketing, and leadership. I'm your host, Trey Griggs of Beta Consulting Group. Be sure to check us out at betaconsultinggroup.com. See how we can help you with your marketing strategies, and we will see you guys real soon. Take care.